Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Kaspa, ladies and gentlemen. We can see Kaspa continues to dominate the markets. We can see it has had a very, very good week. If you take it just say from the Monday bottom to all the way right now, we are roughly up a good amount. We are up roughly 33% on the week so far. Obviously, we still have, 2 more days left until the weekly candle closes. We're up even at one point, almost 40%, which is absolutely crazy. And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, right? If this weekly candle continues to push and continues to go higher and higher, it is going to look absolutely fantastic. The reason why I say this is because we can see that if we go to something like the weekly, right, we have a lot of support and resistance roughly over here, roughly around the 10 cent area, right? And we can see if we were to close something like this would be actually very, very, very solid, right? For me, to have the best confirmation of us, being officially in the bullish zone would be having closes over 11 cents. I'll say 11 cents and above, where I would want the candles to officially start closing. But even if we were to close a little bit lower, on the weekly, let's say down here, this is still going to be good enough because, right, depending on Bitcoin's movement, depending on how much we pull back, depending on everything, right? For something like Caspa, we're probably not going to pull back too much because we are pack a punching on May 5th. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys do not know, May 5th is when this coin will become 10 times the coin it is, okay? So, if you guys don't know, it pretty much has a 1 BPS right now, and on May 5th we are going to go to 10, and eventually we are going to pack a punch all the way to 100. So, this is a coin that has scaling capability. This is something where I feel super confident holding my money in. I'm really, really excited to see how Caspa dominates the markets over the next couple of months and even how it's going to do over the next couple of years. Now, personally, of course, I am going to sell this project when it does pump, during altcoin season, because even though, this project could hit wonders and do wonders in the crypto scene many years down the road, logically, it does make sense to cash out near the tops, sell your positions, and then when things drop a good amount, 75, 85, 95%, depending on the coin and how strong bear seasons are going to be nowadays, then it's just, what? You can always reinvest the money you initially put in, or even more depending on your financial situation and, what kind of financial goals you want to achieve, right? It just makes the most sense logically. Look, in terms of the analysis itself, right? If we close anywhere, I'd say above, let's just say 10 cents this week, I would consider that really, really good. Now, I do think there is going to be some type of pullback, possibly, or consolidation next week, right? If we close, let's say hypothetically, the way we close right now, I would not be surprised if we come back, maybe down to 9.5 cents, more or less, and then try to continue pushing upwards, right? I do believe this coin wants to reclaim 11 cents. And I do think there may be a little bit of a pullback. I mean, guys, we literally, for Bitcoin, we were just at 85,000 and we just went straight up to, practically $95,000 as we speak. And as you guys know, the big crucial retest zone is going to be roughly, the 91 to 92,000 zone. And we just, we smashed it, but it is normal for a coin, even something like Bitcoin, to pull back a little bit to then continue going up higher, right? We may stay here for just a couple of days. We may stay here for 2-3 weeks. Maybe we'll stay even longer. I don't think we necessarily will. I think maximum a few short weeks, and then we are going to push up higher to the all-time highs. And then once again, we're probably going to sell off a little bit, right? We're going to probably sell off a little bit, go like this, do something like this, and eventually we will start expanding, right? I do believe over the next few months are going to be, the best and most crucial months of this whole cycle, right? Bitcoin creating new highs. Altcoin season is going to happen. Even something like right now, Bitcoin dominance is pretty much the highest it has been in the last, last couple of months. And, we are coming to our goal where we think we will reach that 70%, 71% before we have a massive, massive sell off, right? And obviously, that's when coins are going to have its prime, is when, we do reach this zone roughly, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's going to be 69%, 70%, 71, or 74. Technically, the higher the dominance goes, and then the more, the bigger the crash happens, the more we'll gain. But generally speaking, in terms of accuracy, right, roughly 70%. We don't have to be super, super spot on, but more or less the blueprint is something like this. We will consolidate, and then eventually we'll have a crash, kind of the way we did have, over here. We went up a couple of percent, went up to 70% or so, crash, and then we consolidated for a couple of weeks, right? Consolidate for a couple of weeks, and then have a big, big, big altcoin season crash. This will be crashing for a 4 to 8 week span. And of course, we'll have to monitor coins individually, because sometimes coins will peak, somewhere here in the dominance, somewhere here potentially, or even somewhere down here, right? It's never guaranteed. So you have to look at the coin, its data, what is coming out with the coin, its narrative, and everything like that. Because some coins did peak, right here, right when Bitcoin dominance was, dropping a lot, but coins peaked in the end of, March. And then most coins peaked in like April and then May time, right? So we have to be, looking out for that when, Kaspa does have its pumps. But look, ladies and gentlemen, right, we are reclaiming massive, massive territory. Now, I do think we probably will hit, we kind of already technically did, right? We hit this monthly institutional candle. So a little bit of a rejection here. Like I said, a sell-off down to 9 cents, maybe 9.5, roughly in that zone. It's very, very likely. I don't necessarily think we will hit this order block, this monthly order block here. If we do, it's going to be a day where Bitcoin crashes, it comes up to 96, 97K, then Bitcoin crashes back down to 90K, causes a massive, massive wick. But the wick will just be something as, we tap in and then we instantly correct up, and then we continue going up higher. Seeing something like this would be the most fundamental manipulation I would, look out for. But at the same time, we have to also be, noticing how strong the momentum truly is. Of course, Saturday and Sunday could be a little bit of a sell-off, and this will look much more probable. But at this current moment, we are super, super bullish. So, retests might not even have to pull back that much. They might just have to pull back a little bit, consolidate for just a couple of hours, maybe a day or two, and then go up, right? We've seen it, right? Even if we go on Kaspa's lower time frame, right? We go up, we go sell off a little bit, we go sideways for like a couple hours, we keep pumping. We go sideways for 4 hours, we keep pumping. Sell off for 2 hours, sideways for 4, keep pumping, right? Then a little bit of sell off, sideways, going up, 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 boom, right? And it's gonna be like, it's probably going to be the same thing where we go a little bit lower, boom, 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 and then we continue going up, right? If we are super, super bullish, like I said, which I think we will be, because May 5th is a huge, huge event. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.